Hi, my name is Alba Marhx, and I'm a student here at ITESO, about to graduate from my last semester in International Affairs program. The topic I decided to talk to you about was the United Nations and its purposes. I'm pretty sure that we've all know what the United Nations is, or we've heard about it, or we've seen the headlines of the UN asks countries to ... or a new study from the UN says that ... And I think that in these trying times, we've definitely seen quotes or speech in general about the Secretary General Antonio Guterres calling all countries and governments to take action in the fight against COVID-19. Although this particular topic, it regards more to the World Health Organization. That's the one that prevents, promotes, manages, and harmonizes public policies in the topic of health. But I'm not going to go into the World Health Organization or what it does more specifically, because I think we're all fed up with this topic and we kind of need to breathe on it, and we just don't want to think right now about the COVID-19 pandemic that is happening right now. So my main objective in this speech is to talk to you about the United Nations, its purposes, and a little bit of its history. I don't think we need to have a degree in international relations to know and to care about what the United Nations is. So, a little bit of its history. The United Nations was born and created in 1945 after the Second World War ended. It was 51 countries, all of them had declared war to Germany and Japan, and pretty much what they wanted to have was friendly relations to set up new ways of living, and as well to implement the new idea of human rights. At the moment, human rights were something very new, but now obviously they're all around each other. So another objective of the United Nations was to prevent atrocities like the First and Second World War to ever happen again. So you could say that the main objective of the United Nations is to prevent a Third World War from happening, we hope. Although there's a precedent to this, the League of Nations was created after the First World War. Although it was implemented by the United States and its president, Woodrow Wilson, with his 14 points to reach peace, they did not sign into it, and it lost a lot of power because of this. And as well, the League of Nations implemented what was the Treaty of Versailles. This treaty had to be signed by Germany to surrender the First World War, and as well to accept all of these economic conditions that were very harsh, were actually punishments for them, and to pay a lot of money to all of the countries that were devastated by their actions. The problem was that all of these harsh conditions paved the way for Hitler to rise in the German society, and eventually to start the Second World War. Okay, so now that we have a little bit of its history, all of this information has been recovered from the United Nations official website. I'm pretty much sure that you just put UN in Google and the first link is that website. As well as the information about the purposes that I'm going to give you, it's all recovered from the United Nations. Okay, so now the purposes. We have first to maintain and keep international peace and security. This is just not to have peace. This is to suppress any type of aggression, to settle all conflicts and disputes in a peaceful way. Because some countries believe that we can have peace through war, and the United Nations does not support that. So this is to harmonize public policies, to settle conflicts, to avoid any type of breach of peace, and eventually have worldwide peace and security. The second purpose is to have friendly relations among the nations. Back then, it was just 51 countries, but now we have 193 members, and it can be a little bit more difficult because all countries are different. Nothing is the same. We all have a context, a history, etc., etc. But these friendly relations were reached with two principles: equal rights and self-determination. Self-determination is pretty much that the power of the people, they can determine what they want to be. At one moment, we all had the power to determine that we're Mexicans, and we did it. This also means a lot, because if the countries can cooperate in between them, then the purposes of the United Nations can be reached. The third purpose is international cooperation. This is just that it's not a them problem, but it's an us problem. If there's a problem in the Middle East, we can all definitely contribute to have peace in that region. So all countries can support either by organizations, sending money, donations, or receiving refugees, for example. All these through international law and with no discrimination to race, gender, sex, language, religion, etc. The fourth purpose is to harmonize all these public policies that can be done locally, statewide, or nationwide. Because if one country is doing it, that it really doesn't gonna work out. All countries need to be taking action for the UN to kind of have all of these actions together so we can have peace and security and human rights. So, to summarize, maintain and keep international peace and security, to have friendly relations among nations, to have international cooperation, and to harmonize all of these public policies from the more small level, which is locally, to internationally. So in conclusion, the United Nations is an organization that has a lot of power and influence over the countries. It looks to have international unity through all of us and through all of the countries. So I hope you guys learned something new from this speech, so that we can all help the United Nations keep working to prevent atrocities like the First and Second World War to happen ever again. Thank you.